the sealed people of God. We're continuing the study on the book of Revelation.
Last week we have started talking about the proclamation of the gospel and its acceptance and rejection during the ages. And as we saw, this was represented by the 7 broken seals. However, we reached only to the 6th seal in chapter 6, and the vision is intercepted there by an exclusive focus on God's end-time people living just before Christ's coming. Who are they? What are their characteristics? How many are they? This is what we're studying today in chapter 7 in this week's lesson.
Don't worry, the 7 seals are not 6, and the last one is not lost. But it's interesting how the vision opens some parentheses between the 6th and the 7th seal, some interlude, and the same things happen between the 6th and the 7th trumpet later in Revelation, and it's all about our time. This seems to be important.
The progression of human history since Christ has ascended from this earth has brought the gospel and his followers to the point of suffering injustice and oppression by this hostile world. God's response is judgments, plagues, and curses to those who are against him. But before he does that, he sends an angel to seal his own people. And another 4 angels are dispatched to hold the winds of those destructive forces until the faithful are sealed. God is concerned about his people. Whatever is coming to pass in the 7th seal would not affect the fate of God's faithful followers.
There is a struggle. On one hand, justice has to be restored, but mercy and salvation are also the highest priority. It is a development, it is a growth. But how? Until when? When and how will the line be drawn? When are we going to get to the point when everyone will have been given a fair chance? When everyone will have made a clear choice? We are so unstable, so changing. But this moment will come. We don't understand all the details, but chapter 7 is telling us that there will be this moment of sealing, and then the line will be drawn. But there is a lot of symbolism here.
The lesson doesn't stop much of its attention on where the seal is put. Neither there is an extensive breakdown in detail of what the seal represents. What the lesson draws our attention to is the number and the characteristics of the people who are sealed. The number is 144,000, and unequivocally it is interpreted as a symbolic representation, period. Are we tempted to see it as a literal number in there? Absolutely, it's just human. However, the language that surrounds this number in the chapter is 100% symbolical. It becomes a descriptive characteristic that represents the fullness and the completeness of the faithful one. Oh, and by the way, these are the people who live just before Christ comes.
12,000 by 12 tribes, and these tribes are not exactly the same as the one we see in the Old Testament. As the lesson says, these are the people of God who endure to the end, and it is about fullness and completeness. They're not the same. They're different and diverse, but they do share something that wants God's protection.
John sees another group separate from the 144,000 before the throne of God, a multitude that no one can count, who have come out of the great tribulation. The prophet's vision expands on recognizing God's faithful who come from all the ages and from all the nations, people who appear to be out of the spectrum of those 6 seals that have been broken. What unites them is that they are all wearing a whitewashed clothes in the blood of the Lamb. Definitely the scripture identifies here the righteousness of Christ as a unifying sign of this group. These people don't wear their own clothes. It's not their works, it's not their achievements or their righteousness for that matter. It's Christ's. This is the first major characteristics given to John, in case you want to know who those people are.
So we see 2 groups of people in chapter 7. Some that are protected and sealed, the 144,000 representing those who are alive at the end of time, and another group representing all those who through the ages now sees their hope and faith accomplished. They have no personal merits, but the grace and love of God. Now, the lesson steps back and tries to gather more information and details about this enigmatic first group.
And that's true. At the end of the lesson, it brings us back to the 144,000 group and some of its characteristics. And this time it's chapter 14 that adds up to our understanding of who these people are who keep the commandments and the faith of Jesus. And since we said that they live in the end time, we're told that they have never been allured by the worship of false teachings, philosophies, or apostate religions. They're also found blameless in resisting Satan's end-time deceits. What their choice has always been is to follow the Lamb wherever it goes. In other words, their lives reflect the character of Christ. Their lives reflect what Christ has done for them, rather their own works and holiness.
Our human imagination can create amazing interpretations with the detailed and colorful symbolism in the descriptions of Revelation. But when we keep in mind the context and the focus on Jesus, things do make great sense. The 144,000, God's sealed people at the end of time, they are in faithful relationship with Christ. They let His character to be built and reflected in their lives. It's God's power in our lives. It's not about the act of keeping the commandments. It's not about the greatness of our faith, but it's about what is projected in our lives because of the presence of God in our hearts and minds.
I'm afraid that many people will be tempted and tricked into judgmental measuring of how well they fit in this category of 144,000 because of their awareness of the law and knowledge of the instructions in the Bible. What I see as God focusing John's attention in this vision is on everything but ourselves. Everywhere in the book of Revelation, it's about Christ. It's about His righteousness and His achievements, about His power and His mission. In return, it's granted to us. It's adopted by us through His grace.
We can make it about the Sabbath, but it's not about our keeping of it. It's about this faithful relationship with Jesus. It's about not mixing it with our adaptations and changes. It's about respecting God as the creator and sustainer of life. This is what the keeping of the Sabbath is about. This is what the commandments and the faith of Jesus are about. This relationship, this dependence. And the seal for God's people at the end guarantees that nothing could break this relationship anymore. The images of Revelation keep coming. Join us next week for the 7 trumpets.